All right, 4th and 5. Here we go. Unfortunate loss as the Razorbacks fall to Texas Tech in overtime, 85-83. And I'm sure you're a lot like me, super emotional. I'm trying my best not to go there because I will say this, even with a very rough start to the season, 0-5 in conference, making to the Sweet 16, no one thought it was possible, myself included. And then look at where we are. So you have to be proud of that. Trying to take the high road. But here on 4th and 5, we keep stuff real. This is what I don't like is when people start looking at the year in a whole and saying, you know what, based off this, we're okay with where we are. We need to be happy. We never thought we'd be here in the first place after the way we started. It takes me back to the Arkansas Oklahoma State game of a lot of people saying you didn't think Arkansas was going to have a chance in that game and they made it a ball game. You should be happy. I think once you're in the game and depending on the circumstances, it changes things. Once you put yourself in a position to win a game, then I think as far as the whole moral victory stuff, that is thrown out of the window. And so what I saw was a team being up by 16, Arkansas against Texas Tech. Yes, we were very fortunate for them shooting very poorly from 3-point line, especially early in the game. And then we get to a spot to where it seems like the game was in our control. And you have to understand basketball is a game of runs. Yes, Texas Tech can go on their runs and do all that. That's part of it. But when you start making these decisions and all these choices that just don't make sense, it's almost like they got comfortable and they were okay with a couple missed shots or bad decisions and they kind of brushed it off like saying, we got enough cushion, we'll be good. But you can't do that in March Madness, especially at this level when you have a team who is finally starting to get some momentum. But when you start, Nelly Davis, for example, man, played awesome. I mean, that whole first half and some, I was like, this dude is on fire. Then he got to a point to where he kind of had that green light. He had a couple heat checks, but at some point you have to understand the circumstances of the game of saying, yes, I know you want to ball out. I know you want to do this, but okay, now we're in a position to really hone this in and bring it home with the victory. Very poor shot selection towards the end of that game, not just with Nelly, but with DJ Wagner. And don't get me started. This is when I knew we were in trouble, is when Big Z comes off a screen, pulls up from deep like he's Steph Curry, and misses the 3-point shot with plenty of time on the shot clock. I'm like, what are we doing? Giving opportunity after opportunity for Texas Tech to get back in this game. Another one, we had an offensive rebound off of a bad shot selection. We get it back. All right, let's figure this out. DJ Wagner pulls from deep. And I'm just like, when they get that type of cushion and it seems like things are rolling, it's almost like you get too caught up in the moment and you just want to keep going and going and going. And I think that's where maturity comes into play. I think that's where coaching comes into play. And I'm not going to put Coach Cal at fault. You saw him on the sideline losing his mind, saying, what are we doing? Boogie, why are you pulling up with so much time left on the shot clock from three? What is happening right now? So that was the most frustrating part. Second to the offensive rebounds, like for their tallest person in their starting lineup to be 6'9", and when we have Jonas Adu at 6'11", Brazil 6'10", you got Big Z at 7'2", how are we getting dominated on the boards? I had talked with Joe Klein this morning, and he's in the same boat of saying when you look at the numbers and the shooting percentage, that's exactly what you would hope from a Texas Tech team. But when you get outshot 18 times more because of these offensive rebounds, that's where those numbers start. Those hidden numbers just put you behind the eight ball. But that one possession, y'all, when they shot the ball, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 shot attempts, offensive rebound after offensive rebound after offensive rebound after offensive rebound. And then they get the ball back and then go score. It was just, that was very hard to watch. And I know, yes, it's pumped up, and I'm happy this program got to the Sweet 16. It's just hard, y'all. I mean, I was sick to my stomach at the end of the game after 7 seconds is left, and DJ Wagner just kind of drove baseline and had a very hard contested shot. I mean, as soon as he pulled up, I was just like, this can't be real. And so I'm very interested to know your thoughts. I'm very interested to have y'all hit up the comment section. We'll address this hopefully as little as possible, and what next year looks like. I talked to Joe Klein, like I said earlier, and I asked him about what does next year look like. And Coach Cal, it's just reload, reload, reload. He would love to have a lot of these core guys come back. You got to look at Carter Knox, Billy Richmond, DJ Wagner, Big Z. These are guys who are going to have a decision to make. And even if they don't go to the league, they could potentially shop around. But Coach Cal, he's bringing in guys too. Joe was talking about this. He's bringing in guys and they want to play, and you got to pay those guys. And so if you're a DJ Wagner and all these guys, you have to also look at that. So very interested to see the offseason. The thing is, we have that new GM edition. I don't know how much input he'll have with Coach Cal's team because, Coach Cal's been doing this a long time. But I think Coach Cal also knows with that experience of him being with the Boston Celtics and Remy Cofield, the new GM, with all that basketball experience, helping build a championship basketball team, managing big contracts and player personnel. They could be set up to be in a tight spot. But to be honest, I hate pointing out the bad because there was so much good in this season to get to this point, so much good in that game. But y'all, it's just tough when it's right there for the picking, and you just do stuff where you shoot yourself in the own foot. That's the worst part, is when you go back and watch the tape. Yes, Texas Tech is a good team, but at one point in the game, we had a large enough lead to not have these self-inflicted wounds to win that basketball game. And I hate saying this as an athlete because it takes away from what they did, but I really do felt like at that point, Arkansas beat themselves, and that's tough. And I know it's going to be hard for those guys to sleep on that. So once again, very interested in your comments, but y'all know, as all things go, moving on to the next, baseball. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'm not the biggest baseball expert by any means. So I reached out to a friend of mine, Alyssa Orange, and she is a baseball fanatic. She loves it. She's been in and out of that program, knowing all the inner workings with the Razorback team, followed them so much over the years. So she's going to be hopping on and joining 4th and 5 to give a weekly update with the baseball team. She's going to have a nice little preview of what to expect from the baseball team, and she has about an 8-minute breakdown of what you can expect from the Arkansas Razorbacks, or the Diamond Hogs, as we call it. And as up for always, when we get a new segment, I always want the input for what you think that segment should be called. So I think right now, what does this sound like? What about Batters Up with Alyssa Orange inside Razorback Baseball? Here's Alyssa Orange on more with the Razorback.
Hey guys, it's great to be with you. Alyssa Orange here, and I promise the next time you see me, I'm going to make my background look a lot prettier, but I'm moving and I've got a lot of things in boxes. So I'm going to have a little bit more time before I make this look a little pretty, but I'm here to talk some baseball. There's a lot going on the Hill right now. I understand that, but baseball season is what I love. I love the sport. I played softball. It's just what makes me happy. And so right now, I think this Arkansas baseball team is making Razorback fans really happy. They head in to this series with Vanderbilt, and we're going to break that down here in a little bit. But before that loss to Missouri State, they were 23-2. That is the best 25-game start in program history. They're really balanced. That's what I like the most. I've seen these teams in the past since I've gotten here in 2013 that have had really strong offenses that really help out a pitching staff that isn't that strong, or a pitching staff that's strong that helps out an offense that is struggling at times. But this one really balanced right now. Knock on wood, I get it. It's baseball. It's a long season. It's still very early. You want to be peaking at the right time. I understand that. But what we are seeing from this team offensively, defensively as well, except for that Missouri State game, I understand. And also on the pitching mound, they're really starting to kind of click and be a cohesive unit, which is really fun to see. I've really enjoyed watching this team, specifically offensively. So let's talk there. Left fielder Charles Davalon. I love this kid. He's fun to watch. He's from Canada. He has come in and he has lit it up offensively for Arkansas. He's their leadoff batter right now. He's batting .413. It's really impressive to watch this guy and his approach at the plate. And then you've got the Aloy brothers in Cajillo and Vahiva. Right now, these two might as well be having a home run derby competition this season on their own. Vahiva's got 10. You've got Cajillo, who has 8. And I'm excited to see continue how they balance each other out. 1, 2 right there in that lineup behind Davalon. It's been so fun to watch these guys. And then you go back onto the pitching mound, and I think that Dave has finally settled in to a rotation that he likes. He's got Zach Root starting on Friday nights. He's the transfer over from East Carolina, and has done pretty well. The ERA might not say that at the moment, but he's gone out and done exactly what they've asked him to do on Friday nights to get wins, specifically over Ole Miss and South Carolina. And then they head into this Vandy matchup that we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. And then you've got Gabe Gackle, who we have seen as a sophomore hit a little bumps every now and then. He's starting to kind of get that groove back. Dave said earlier this week they just need to get him going a little bit more, but they have a lot of trust in the sophomore to kind of get things done on Saturday. And then you have Landon Beidelshees, who transferred in from Ohio State, who's your Sunday starter right now, and he's doing some really good things for them. So that's really good to see, and hopefully that continues into this Vanderbilt game. Here's the deal. We got to talk about the Missouri State game, because I got to tell you guys, too many of y'all hitting the panic button on Twitter, and I get it. I understand. We don't like to lose midweek games. I hear you, and I understand where you're coming from. It was bad. They were up 13-8 in the ninth, and you let the Bears score 5 runs to get it to extra innings, and you lose 14-13. That's not a great look. But here's the thing. Dave said afterwards, we kind of got what we deserved. Not that we were going to give up 5 runs in the ninth. That was unexpected. But he felt like these guys kind of weren't really into it from the beginning, and he kind of felt a different vibe in this midweek game than he had going back to that South Carolina game where they really dominated the Gamecocks. So don't hit the panic button. It is one game. It is baseball. Don't freak out. Don't be throwing things at Matt Hobbs. Don't be throwing things at Nate Thompson. These guys are still scoring runs. The pitching is doing fine. They just had a bad game, and that is going to happen. What you can't do is turn that bad game into more bad games now going on the road against Vandy. Dave also said this week that he's hoping losses like that help them win games down the road, and we'll see if that's true. You can't let that happen. He said it a lot last year. You can't let losses like that roll into other losses and take what you've learned there, turn it into wins down the road. And we saw them do that a little bit. So hopefully they can learn from this Missouri State game and move forward, take this Arkansas team on the road to play Vandy. This is a fun place to play. I like Vandy. I've been there one time. It was in 2015, and it happened to be Arkansas opening up SEC play on the road at Vandy. Meanwhile, the men's basketball tournament was happening in Nashville at the same time. So it was a fun little 2-for-1 trip there in the Music City, and me, Mike Irwin, and Aaron Peters went on that trip, but I was on the baseball assignment, which was totally okay with me. And it's a little bit smaller of a ballpark. It's a little bit different view. It's right there beside the football stadium. There are dorms and classrooms and buildings behind it. And so it's just a little bit of a different kind of setup. It's a little smaller than what you're used to. It is not Baum Walker by any means, is what I'm trying to say. And the dugouts are really close. So it's kind of like it reminds me a little bit more of like one of those old quaint minor league parks than these big SEC, big grand ballparks right now in college that you're seeing around the league. But Vandy knows how to win. It's a turf field. They know how to win. They've got really good talent over there. And they got to deal with the Vandy Whistler. So nobody likes that. You're going to have to battle with that as well. I'm excited to see what they do here. It'll be fun for Kim Kojal to go back to Vandy, the team that he transferred from. I'm interested to see how he plays over at first base and how things go for him in the lineup. But Arkansas needs to go take care of business. They went on the road. They beat Ole Miss, and then they came back home and opened up their home SEC opener with South Carolina, try to put some more of these series wins together, go to Vandy, and hopefully come back from Nashville with a series win. That's best case scenario, right? They're the number 2 team in the country right now. They're 5-1 in the SEC. They are right there with Tennessee and Georgia and Texas, all 5-1 in the SEC right now. Tennessee's the number 1 team in the country. I get nobody likes that. I like Tony Vitello. We can talk about it later. He was great to us here when he was here at Arkansas. He's a good dude. Arkansas is number 2, and Georgia's the number 3 team in the country. So the top 3 teams in the country, the 4th team is Florida State, but we don't have to talk about that, are in the SEC. And so Arkansas knows that it's really, really hard to maintain those wins, to get wins in league play when the rest of the league is just as talented as you. So winning is a premium and it is super important to do so. So going to Vandy, hopefully things kick off well on Friday with Zach Root on the mound coming over, like I mentioned, from East Carolina. I like this team. I've said it before. I like to see what they can do. I've got a good feeling. I don't like to put pressure on teams. I'm not going to say this is the one that's going to win Dave a title in Omaha. But right now, with what I'm seeing, I think there is a really good chance for this team to have success when it matters the most in the postseason. All right, before I leave you with baseball talk, it is opening day on Thursday. As much as I love baseball, I love baseball and MLB much more. Massive Dodgers fan. Dodgers are going to repeat. Sorry if I offended anybody, but a shout out to all the Razorbacks who are on opening day rosters. That includes Jalen Beeks, who is with the Diamondbacks, Andrew Benintendi, who is with the White Sox, Heston Kjerstad with the Orioles, and it's so good to see Heston back up there after everything that he has battled with. You got Ryan Stanek in New York. And then you have Trevor Stephan with the Guardians. So if you're looking for some Razorbacks to watch on the MLB stage these next couple of days, those are a handful of guys you can find on opening day rosters. That is it for baseball. We'll be back next week to talk about this Vandy series and what's next for the Razorbacks. I'll see you then.